Thank you all for joining us this morning for our mentor connection. We are going to be doing monthly trainings from here forward, just to give you all a little bit of insight into some important topics that you will be working with students and talking with them about. And so this morning's topic is going to be about financial aid. We're going to spend about 15 to 20 minutes to get the high level information that you need. We have Michelle Slade joining us from the OSAC team, the Office of Student Access and Completion, and she has a great financial aid background and is going to give you the very basics as you are talking with your students, information that you need to know to help students work through either the FAFSA application or the ORSAA application, which she'll explain the difference between the two. We only have about 30 minutes, so we're going to have about 15-20 minute presentation and then opening it up for questions. And then I will continue on with the basic Aspire Mentor training with some Q&A after that as well. But that's a very basic overview of the mentor program. So we're glad that you joined us. Thank you for joining us. And Michelle, I would love for you to just introduce yourself and take it away. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you for inviting me. So as Rochelle said, my name is Michelle Slate. I'm a grants administrator with the Office of Student Access and Completion. In my particular role of responsibility, I work most prominently with the Chief Education Program, so our foster youth here in Oregon, and assisting in all of their college going experience. I also manage the FAFSA Plus program. Many of you may know of that or hear of that in your schools. It's a way of knowing that the young people in your senior classes are completing their FAFSAs and what their next steps might be. And then I get to do a lot of great outreach and support, hence why I'm down in White City, and hopefully I don't have any connection issues while I'm chatting with you guys today. What I want to do is I've made a couple quick notes of what Rochelle has asked me to share with you guys today. I want to kind of speed through some of it, show you some great locations of getting information, and really get to the pieces of question and answer and how I can help support the work you're doing. So I'm going to show you some websites and some things to just kind of have in your toolkit, and some important deadline type things like that. So we're starting out on our Oregon Student Aid website. OregonStudentAid.gov is the OSAC's website. You can see it's changed if you've been on our website before. We updated this over the summer break, and everything that was on there before is pretty much still there. It just may be in a slightly different location. One of the things that I like to show folks first on the website is under the FAFSA and ORSAA section. Sorry, you do got to get over it. Just right under the FAFSA ORSAA section is the FAFSA ORSAA filter tool. So one of the first things when you're getting started with students and you're going to sit down and do FAFSA ORSAA, whether you're doing it individually or if you're doing this in a group session, you can have the student come out and determine which application they should process. So I'm going to go here and we'll talk a little bit about the two. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid, and the ORSAA stands for the Oregon Student Aid Application. The FAFSA is the federal application that US citizens and certain eligible non-citizens can apply for. And here in Oregon, we offer the ORSAA for individuals who are not eligible to apply for the FAFSA, and that could include our undocumented and DACA students. So one of the best ways to know if a student can be eligible for FAFSA or ORSAA is to just have them walk through the tool here. The tool is 4 quick questions. They'll walk through and answer what is true for them. And we'll just show real fast. We're going to say yes, yes, we're a citizen. It's going to tell you right away that you filed a FAFSA. I'm going to flip this to a no. Then it's going to ask me if I'm a US citizen or a national. I'm going to say no. It's going to ask me if I'm an international student. So there are certain students that are not eligible to apply for either FAFSA or ORSAA. If you are here on a certain visa, you would not be eligible to apply. And these codes here for international students help us determine, for the most part, if they're here, um, if they're an international student here on a visa specifically for education, they'll most likely be in one of the not eligible categories. We change this to no and a no. Oh, come on. Doing this from a keyboard. And I'm going to say yes, that I will have lived here for at least 12 months prior to attending college, and it's going to allow me to complete the ORSAA. So in this example, this would be a student that says they don't have a social security number. They're saying that they are not a US citizen. They are not here as an international student, and that they have lived here longer than 12 months. Now that student may then be eligible to apply through ORSAA and have eligibility for either our Oregon Opportunity Grant and or our Oregon Promise Grant. And you can see how quick the tool is for the student to determine the information. More importantly, they get to do it in a very private manner. They're not having to verbally explain their citizenship status. They can just walk through the questions in private, and then the system will tell them which application to go to, and they click that link and they get started on that next step. I'm gonna back up here to our web page. On our web page, there's a lot of information about the various grants that we administer through OSAC. The most common is the Oregon Opportunity Grant and that Oregon Promise Grant. Oregon Opportunity is our longest running grant. It can be used at the 17 community colleges in Oregon. It can be used at the public universities in Oregon and the private nonprofits in Oregon. The Oregon Promise Grant is the grant that's known most commonly as a graduating high school senior transitioning into one of the 17 community colleges. It is also eligible for GED completers. For the Oregon Promise Grant, there's a great list of facts on the webpage you can go through. For just about any of the programs, we've tried to streamline them to have information laid out similarly. So on each page, they'll have how do I apply, what are important deadlines, who's eligible, things like that. On the right-hand side, there'll be information that's important to the program for updates, where we're at in any kind of awarding for the year, program updates, and then contact information for each program that we administer. We have our scholarship application opening very soon. So the scholarship application runs November 1st through the early bird deadline is February 15th, and the final deadline is March 1. The early bird deadline allows for students to be entered into an automatic $1,000 scholarship drawing just simply by completing what we call a completed scholarship application. By that, it means that hopefully the student has done a good job answering their questions and doing their activities chart, but that they have successfully provided the correct transcript to be considered for scholarships. For your high school seniors, that transcript should include their first term or first semester grades from senior year. And they can post that. Generally, your grades are available by about January or a little after. That's the copy they would be making sure to upload, or your school may provide that for them. And then they can be entered into that opportunity. Of course, there's information about your Aspire program. So Rochelle will teach you guys all about the wonderful things that are available on the web or through your coordinators. And then we also have the resource section, and this may be valuable to you at times. It's got a lot of past resources that we've had. It'll have upcoming webinars and outreach information. I have a couple FAFSA Plus webinars coming up soon that I've got to get them posted out there. So as we offer different events about our programs, we'll have those under our webinar opportunities, and you can get all of our publications and things like that as well. Up at the very top of our website is where students would go to log in and create an account. So they can create a student portal up at the top here. There's a lot of information out there right now, and that is because we have recently converted our student portal to a new system. And so these are tips about how to help students navigating that. If anybody's having difficulty, you can always email us at Public Programs or at Oregon Promise, and we'll help support. And then the partner portal, if you have access to that, is out here as well in the partner portal area. So once a student knows if they are going to do the FAFSA or ORSAA, if it's the FAFSA, they're going to have to create an FSA ID. And I like to show people new to the FAFSA program the two websites. Um, you can still type in FAFSA.gov, FAFSA.gov. It converts automatically to the studentaid.gov. However, the screens look different between FAFSA.gov and studentaid.gov. So this is the studentaid.gov website. And right now, it's really highlighting the student loan debt relief program that just launched its form. So if I was a new student coming out here or a parent coming out here, a lot of this doesn't necessarily make sense to me right away because it's advertising a lot of other information. Whereas if I go to FAFSA.gov, it's very clear what this landing page is about. It's about applying through the FAFSA application, and I can either get started as a new user or I can log in as a continuing returning user. It'll always have upcoming FAFSA announcement information. So right now, the 2023-24 is available. That opened on October 1, so that's their highlight. Of course, as the year moves on, those messages can change. So a student would come out here, the first thing that they would do is do the start here. But when you click on that start here, they can start the application without creating an FSA ID, but I do not advise that. I recommend that the students start the FSA ID first. When they create their FSA ID, that's the way that they're going to get to electronically sign their FAFSA. And the parent that's doing the FAFSA with them will need one as well. I always recommend that they do that before starting the application, just so that they know they'll be able to sign it at the end. Sometimes in rare occasions, the FSA ID may have issues where it doesn't create correctly. It may also have up to a 3-day hold in some instances while it crosses security clearances and things, making sure it matches SAA and things like that. I'm not going to wait for this to load because it's not catching up very well. But again, it's create the FSA ID and then start the application is the best way to get through that. For this page, I simply typed in, how did I say it? I wrote it down. I wrote in dependency status FAFSA, FAFSA. So dependency status FAFSA. The very first link that comes up is a studentaid.gov link, and that's this page right here. This screen here is really important because it's talking about dependent versus independent status on the FAFSA. Dependent students are required to provide their parents' information up until the age that they're going to turn 24. And so the FAFSA will ask a question, were you born on or before January 1 of 2000, January 1 of 2001, January 1, 2002, it just keeps moving each year. And when a student cannot answer yes to that question, then they're prompted with some additional questions to determine if they are a dependent or an independent. This may be small on your screens, but these are the questions that they're asked. They are asked these questions on the FAFSA in a skip logic formula. So they will ask initially, I believe it's like the first 4, and then they start asking the other questions as they continue to answer no. The most common is, will they be 24 by that January? Yes or no. Are they married? Yes or no. And then do you have children? Yes or no. Those are the 3 common things that would flip you to being an independent, is if you say yes to any of those 3. Most of our high school seniors are going to say no to those questions. So then it looks at things like if they're serving in active duty, if they're a veteran of the armed forces. Most of our high school seniors would not meet that criteria just yet. And there's other questions then related to parents being deceased, foster care time, or ward or dependent of court statuses, legal guardianship statuses, and that unaccompanied youth of that are homeless or at risk of homelessness. If they could answer yes to any one of these 10 things, they will be an independent student. Some of these things do require verification through financial aid offices. And so making sure that they're answering these questions correctly to ensure that they won't have to make a change later. Majority of our seniors answer no to all of these, and then they are required to provide their parents' information on that FAFSA. If you are working with students who have a more challenging background or things that are occurring currently in their lives, more focused on any of the 8, 9, and 10 areas, while you're training and learning, try to reach out to experts in your building to help support you, or reach out to your Aspire coordinators because they'll help you connect to other staff, either at OSAC or within colleges that will help you with that young person navigating how to do FAFSA. So this is information on which parent that you would provide on a FAFSA. So in the event that you're working with a student that has parents that are separated or divorced, recently remarried, widowed, anything like that, there are instructions on how to help that student navigate which parent to include on a FAFSA or which parent's income may be excluded on a FAFSA. Um, there's a lot of information to read and try to figure out which is their situation. Again, if it gets to be too complicated with some of the changes that can happen, reaching out to somebody in the field would be able to help guide those more complicated situations to make sure that they file correctly. I always encourage for staff to have good relationships with their local colleges, financial aid office. I know for me, when I worked with Lynn Benton Community College, I tried to reach out to my local high schools as often as I could, just so that they knew they had somebody to rely on in those challenging questions. So if you don't know somebody in your area, your Aspire coordinators could probably help connect you to make sure that you have somebody in the field to rely on when the student's situation is more complicated. There are a lot of guides. Let's see if this one, there, it will open. It's like there's a lot of guides that you could have these printed. I used to print and laminate some of these for my office just so I could have them for the year. This is the one that's who's my parent. So which one will file the FAFSA with you in the event that the parents are separated or divorced. It walks you through. And again, in the end, if you're not sure which one they should be providing, you can ask for support from somebody in a financial aid office.